was looking for Unhauls and I was like, wait a minute, that's Immortal Longings. What are you doing there? Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Just Another Struggling Writer, the beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Today I'm doing another super casual, super laid-back, cozy reset for the month of April. Now, I normally like to do my cozy resets on the weekend in the middle of the day so I can kind of do some tidying up and just some mental relaxation to truly get myself ready for the new month. Unfortunately, that just didn't work out this time. I've had just a super busy weekend with Easter and everything, and it just didn't work out that I could sit down and really film this until now. It is after 10 o'clock at night, but I still wanted to get it done. I know there's absolutely no shot of me getting it done later this week, so now is the perfect time to just kind of sit down and relax and just have a chat about what my March looked like and what I hope I can accomplish in the month of April. So the month of March has been pretty interesting for me. I have seen my third change in management at my day job, and my new boss has really prioritized me taking on responsibilities that are in my job description, but my old boss hadn't prioritized before. So I've been called upon to take up some challenges that I've never really faced before, and while I'm not shying away from them, it has taken up so much of my mental energy this month. I also had a sick child and just a bunch of pre-scheduled doctor's appointments for myself and my son and my daughter. I also have been doing things for my daughter's choir. You know, we had the trip at the beginning of the month, and then she's also been preparing for her audition for next year's choir, and it's just been a lot of exterior things going on that have really impacted my ability to do this part, the creative stuff, the content stuff, the book stuff. That being said, I was really proud of myself. I managed to kind of get back on the wagon with reading. I read 7 books this month and DNF'd an 8th. That might not be true. It might be 6 and 7. I'll have to count, but I'll talk all about those in my March reading recap, which will be later this week. But still, it's more than I read in February, although less than I read in January. Although I am starting to think that January's goals were just me being really excited about the new year and are not sustainable. So I'm pretty pleased with this, especially over the last 2 weeks. I have read 4 books over the last week and a half, and that's been a huge improvement for me because I was feeling really slumpy, feeling really not in the mood to read, partially because of coming home and being so worn out from work. Like I said, I'll talk all about that in my March reading recap. I also managed to do a small book haul, too small to do a whole video on, but I'll just tell you about them now. The first books that I added the entire Liveship Traders series, which is the second trilogy in Rob and Hobb's universe, following her Farseer trilogy, starting with the Ship of Magic. I don't know what the other ones are called, but starting with the Ship of Magic. And I've kind of decided that this year I am going to complete my Rob and Hobb collection. Last month I got the entire Farseer trilogy in physical copy. Now I've just done the live ship traders, so that is going to be something that occurs over the course of the year, just completing that series. Then I picked up Shadow and Hunger of the Gods in physical form. I have Shadow of the Gods both on audio and an ebook, which I read last year and really, really liked. I thought the entire trilogy was complete, and then when I was at the bookstore and I only saw 2 of them, I looked it up and realized that it's not complete. But I really, really did like Shadow of the Gods, and I'm going to read Hunger of the Gods sometime this year. I've been trying to get into Nordic inspired fantasy more since I read Shadow of the Gods, and so obviously Hunger of the Gods is pretty high up on that list to get to as well. Then as I was walking out of the sci-fi fantasy section of Barnes & Noble, I passed a table and I saw One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and I have heard a lot about it lately. I don't know, it's like one of those things where you hear it once and then all of a sudden you hear it everywhere. And that seems like what is going on. I just been seeing it in a lot of videos talked about. A lot of it has been in the context of really liking the first book, One Dark Window, and then not liking the sequel. And for some reason that made me want to read it more. And I've heard a little bit about the magic system, which really sounds cool. And it was kind of an impulse buy as I was like walking out of the sci-fi fantasy section of Barnes & Noble. And I was like, this must be a sign. I've heard it so many times. It's sitting right here, so I just grabbed it. My book of the month book was A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. Again, this goes back to wanting to read more Nordic fantasy. I'm really excited about it. I was so excited about it that I actually put it on my April TBR, which you'll know if you watch my April TBR video. Really excited about that one. Of course, I added Sunbringer, which also just came out this month, and I did a whole video, a reading vlog, where I finished it in a single weekend. And then just yesterday, I was at Half Price Books because I hadn't been in a while, and I was going to the library, and I was like, well, if I'm going to the library, I'm going to go to Half Price Books too, because I just haven't been. And my local Half Price doesn't have a very robust sci-fi fantasy section. So the only thing I found was a book called Spellslinger by Sebastien de Castell, and I don't know anything about it. But his name is another one of those names that I've heard a lot about over the last couple of weeks, and it just felt like a buzzing in my ear when I saw it. Like, I have never read one of his books before. I have no idea if it would appeal to me, but I grabbed it for $6. Why not? As for my unhauls, I actually haven't unhauled anything because yesterday was the first day that I've been back to Half Price and I forgot to grab my unhaul stack. But if I had remembered, the books that I would have unhauled are Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, and I have not heard hardly anything good about this, and what I have heard does not appeal to me in the slightest. I don't even know where I got it. It was probably in a book box, but this just doesn't seem my speed. And just from what I've heard and about Red Tower, the publisher in general, it just was never going to appeal to me. The next book I'm going to unhaul is Fierce Kingdom by Jen Phillips, and I don't know if you can see this. Book of the month from 2017. I don't even remember having a subscription in 2017, so I have no idea where this came from. I don't know what it is. It's probably not a fantasy book, so I don't think I would have picked it up at Half Price. But I was looking at my shelves, looking for unhauls, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. And then lastly, a book that I thought I had unhauled already, Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I read this book last year shortly after it came out, and I hated it. I gave it 1.5 stars, and I can't even tell you what was the 0.5 and not a 1. I thought I had unhauled this already because I hated it so much, but this is definitely the same copy that I read originally because you can see all my annotations. Maybe I just kept it to fill out my bookshelves. I don't know, but this one's going away too. Like I said, I was looking for unhauls and I was like, wait a minute, that's Immortal Longings. What are you doing there? So I'll be foisting those onto the unsuspecting masses of Half Price Books the next time that I go. So that is it for bookish related things and reading. Now on to writing, which was once again pretty dismal. I started off strong, as I always do. I wrote 500 words on the first day of March, even though I was in Denver. I didn't write it all on the second day of March because that was a travel day coming back from Denver. And then I wrote 500 words on the third day of March. And that was pretty much it for the whole month. Maybe a dozen words one day, 50 words another, but not much. Definitely nothing to write home about. Yeah, it has just been a real struggle with this manuscript. And I know part of it is because of what's going on at work and because of the stress and because I'm prioritizing reading more and more lately and content more and more lately. But I have continued to be completely enamored with my portal fantasy instead, and it has just completely consumed my life. It's all I can think about. And I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, but I think it's just time for me to face the music and go back to it. I've been working on an outline for it over the last week or so, but for March, my whole month was pretty much spent thinking about my portal fantasy and preparing to get back into it. So as for some favorites in the month of March, my favorite book that I read was Far and Away Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner, the second book in the Fallen God series. I did a cozy reading vlog mostly about it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I highly encourage you watch it because like that was truly like my raw unfiltered thoughts there at the end when with the cliffhanger. I just loved everything about it. I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the story, I love the writing. Most of all, I love the writing, and it just hit me different, and I can't even really tell you why. I just loved it so much. And if you read Godkiller last year, I highly encourage you pick up Sunbringer and then come back to me in the comments and talk to me about it. I didn't write much, again, only 1,000 words, but I figured of those 1,000 words, I would dig out a favorite line of mine that I wrote specifically, and this is what I came up with. I can tell you're expecting it to work, for the magic to come like some summoned thing that you have complete control over. But it's not, and it never was. It's a living thing that you are borrowing power from. So, more on my Portal fantasy, which unfortunately is going to be on the back burner, at least for the short term. I haven't really had time to play video games. I've played a few here and there, but not really a lot. The one that has been calling to me the most is Civilization 6. I am obsessed with that game series. I always have been, and it just scratches an itch. And I wish that I had more time to play it because I like playing my Civilization games on the slowest possible speed to like kind of maximize my micromanaging. But unfortunately, that means it takes the like I can complete a game on that speed if I dedicate an entire day to it. And unfortunately, those days do not exist. So it means that I end up starting a bunch of games, and then by the time that I have time to get back to it, I've lost the spark for it. And so I start a new one. Okay, so I lost battery power in my camera. I think I can go ahead and finish recording while it's plugged in, but I've had to do some rearranging. Anyway, okay, my camera battery died again. So I've let it charge a little bit, and now I am running out of time. Now it's after 11. I can't remember where I was. Oh, favorite video games. Haven't been playing much. So my favorite anime, again, Magic Knight Rares. I'm going to try and get that finished sometime. Maybe not this month, but maybe next month. We'll get through it. And then my favorite song this month was Midnight Rain by Taylor Swift. And that is all for my favorites, which means it is now time to look ahead to April, starting of course with my content preview. As you can see, today we have the Cozy Reset, and then on the 6th I will be doing my March reading wrap up. On the 9th I will be doing my first of the Camp NaNoWriMo writing vlogs. I decided to do them weekly this month. Hopefully that'll keep me, the more short-term writing vlogs will help me keep me more motivated. Then on the 12th, I'm very excited. I've been planning this video since the beginning of this year. I'm going to do a tier ranking of every book I read in the first quarter of the year. So I did 22 books in the first quarter, so I will tier rank them based on how I felt about them and my ratings and all that. I've never done one before, so I'm really excited about it. Then I've got another Camp Nano writing vlog, and then I'm going to be doing a cozy reading vlog. I can't decide which book I'm going to do for the cozy reading vlog. It's either going to be a Fate Inked in Blood or the Foxglove King. Those are both on my TBR, and I feel like both would lend themselves well to like a cozy reading vlog. Maybe I'll do both, but we'll see. That's my 48-hour reading vlogs from Friday night to Sunday night, so we'll see how that goes. Then I've got a blank space open on the 21st. I would like to do a book review there because I'm so heavy on the writing vlogs this month. Another Camp Nano writing vlog, then that takes us to my May TBR, and then at the end of the month, my final Camp Nano writing vlog. So a lot of writing vlogs, but only 3 times a year do I anticipate it ever being heavy like this: April, July, and of course November. So those are my content plans. I'm hoping to really motivate myself with those writing vlogs, because I have found that nothing motivates me more than public accountability. So it's also, you guys have a part to play in that as well. And that goes right into the next part, which is my April goals. The big one, of course, being Camp NaNoWriMo. I am going to be participating in Camp Nano, which, if you don't know, is a kind of a lighter version of NaNoWriMo, which is a hard 50,000 words in 30 days. In the camps, you can choose your own word count goal. It could be as low as 5,000 or 10,000 words, or it could be even higher, 60,000 or whatever. I'm going to go for 30,000 words, because that is an even 1,000 words a day, which my brain likes, and it's also very achievable. The other thing about Camp Nano is that I'm going to be doing it entirely longhand. I've talked about it a little bit before on this channel, but what's up? I'm not done yet. I had to wait for my camera battery to charge. Something about writing longhand just unlocks a whole new level of creativity in me. I don't know what it is. I just find it extremely satisfying and extremely way more creatively nourishing and just stimulating than a word processor. And I've gotten away from it in the last couple of years because it's just so time consuming. Obviously, you can't write longhand nearly as fast as you can on the computer. And if you do, it really cramps your hand. It is still my preferred method. That's 3 pages a day. And for some reason, 3 pages a day sounds way less intimidating to me than 1,000 words. But that's going to be my goal. And I'm also going to be going back to my Portal fantasy for this project, because I just can't stop thinking about it. And I know that means that I am once again putting down a project at 25,000 words, but the way I'm rationalizing it is the Portal fantasy is the one that I had stopped in favor of starting the urban fantasy. And the only reason I did that was because I thought the urban fantasy would be easier to do in November for NaNoWriMo, because I'm intending it to be shorter. And so my thought was, I'll do Nano and I'll get my 50,000 words and I'll already be 2/3 of the way done. Of course, that didn't pan out, but then I was committed to it. And so maybe the reason I can't stop thinking about the Portal fantasy is because I was supposed to be working on it all this time, but I got this idea that it would be more efficient to do it the other way around, and it obviously hasn't worked out. Yes, that is a little bit of a reach, but that is what I am telling myself to comfort myself for having yet again put down a project at 25,000 words. I'm not abandoning it. I'm not shelving it. I'm just kind of moving it off to the side to get back to what I was working on before I even started the urban fantasy in the first place. So that is going to be a big goal. Something else I would like to do is I would like to just lean into using Notion a lot more. I've used it pretty much only for my content planning up until now, but I think I could use it a lot more. I think that I could probably use it to help me stay organized, not just with my content, but with my book reviews, things like that. So I really want to lean into getting more organized this month. So that is a big goal, is to just lean into using Notion more. It's just so hard to start, is what I think I'm afraid of. It's I've used it for my content planning because I like the calendar view and I like being able to organize all of that. That really was very satisfying for me to unlock, but now I have to import my life into it basically, and that's kind of hard to get started on from scratch, but that's going to be a big goal of mine this month. Part of that is I would like to do a written book review for every book that I read this year, going back to the start of the year, because I have found that when I am doing book reviews and I don't have a written review, they tend just to be a little bit chaotic and I end up forgetting points that I want to make. And so I did one for Leviathan Wakes, I think. It was the first one I did a written review of, and I just felt so much better about how my thoughts were organized and making my points. So I'm going to start doing written reviews for every book that I read and doing all my call pile breakdowns. But I think if I can do like a book review every other day until I catch up, or maybe every 3 days until I catch up, and then just do it when I finish, I think I'll feel a little bit better about that. And then the last thing is I want to get back into doing my daily tarot draws and journaling every day, and just doing a daily draw every single morning just for me. Like, I would never even think about doing it for anyone else. This is literally just for me. I bought a new deck recently that really fed into my feeling of like nature magic, which is going back to my portal fantasy. And then I bought one this week, another new one this week. So I'm just really like, I really just want to kind of re-immerse myself in that part of my spirituality, because I do feel like I'm missing it in my life right now. And I think that is pretty much it. It has been kind of a chaotic, cozy reset, not quite as laid back and not quite as chill as I had anticipated when I sat down with my battery dying and then having to... Anyway, it's just been one of those days. And we all have those days, right? Like everything that I've said, my issues with at my day job and my doctor's appointments and not writing as much and not having enough time to get X, Y, and Z done, that is just life. I would just like to stress to everybody, that is just life, right? I am a mom of 3 kids. I have a full-time job in addition to all of my reading and writing and content creation goals. And it's just life. It's just life will always get in the way. There's always going to be things interrupting your plans and forcing you to change what your ideas are and make you reevaluate your time commitments. That is just life. And I am saying it as much to you as to myself, because I can get kind of hard on myself for failing to live up to the expectations I set for myself. I think these cozy resets are really important for me personally, to just remind myself that it's okay. It's okay to not meet every single goal. It's okay to feel like I can't do it all some days, because you can't. There's just not enough hours in the day. There's not enough, you just don't have enough of yourself to give sometimes to all of these things that you want to accomplish, and that is so okay. So with that little pep talk in mind, I am going to wrap up, jump in the shower, and go to bed, because I do have to work in the morning. It is now 11:30. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, please consider liking and subscribing. It would be so appreciated. And I will see you in the next video, which is going to be my March reading wrap up. So I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then.